Ahoy, footy fans! Welcome along to another video, State of Origin time. Well, look, it's just around the corner. I still think it's a little too early to be picking the teams, but hey, you've been unrelenting. Who do you think's going to play in Origin this year, Dan? It's too early, I keep telling you. I still think it's too early. We've got this weekend's games to get through. Injuries, suspensions, anything can happen yet. But look, let's be honest, if I don't do this video now, it'll never get done. So what do you say we have a look at this New South Wales State of Origin team, see if we can pick a winner for Game 1 in 2025. Let's start off at the back, fullback. It's been one of the biggest talking points of 2025 so far. We've seen a form resurgence from James Tedesco. Is it enough to warrant being selected over the incumbent, Dylan Edwards? I'm going to go ahead and say no. I'm still a little bit concerned about Tedesco under the high ball. We've seen him get found out. We saw him get found out just a couple of weeks ago when the Roosters played the Dolphins and the hammer just left him for dead in the air. And we've seen it happen at Origin level before, where James Tedesco, you get him flat-footed, backing up, put the high ball up, have somebody flying through, and it's pretty much a given that you're going to get a try. If you get that right, you're going to get a try every single time. I can't have that. Not in my team. I'm a hard taskmaster. And even though Dylan Edwards has not been in the greatest of form up to his lofty standards, all right, let's remember that. Dylan Edwards has not been in form up to his very high standards. He'll get the job done. He's backing it up. Dylan Edwards is locked in there at fullback. So if we stay in that back three, we're also going to go ahead and lock in somebody else. Game 1 this year is in Suncorp Stadium, the Cauldron. Therefore, it's very hard to win at Suncorp, all right? We know this. We've seen it many, many years. New South Wales teams in general at Clubland struggle at Suncorp. So, New South Wales are going to be spending a lot of time down their own end of the field. They're going to be stuck down there. They're going to need that strong carry. The best strong carry from the back three from a winger is Brian To'o. It is that simple. Brian To'o, just for that alone, gets the nod at the back. They're going to need somebody like that, a workhorse. It doesn't even matter about tries at this point. State of Origin in Queensland, you're going to need just consistent runs from the back end. Brian To'o is the absolute best at that. So let's go ahead and lock in somebody else. Sorry, quick drinks break. Oh, I'm so bad. I'm so bad. This is why I could never work at Channel 9, you know? Just, can you imagine me on a Channel 9 panel? What's your thoughts on that, Dan? Oh, just a second. Quick drinks break. All right, now I'm firing on all cylinders. We're all good. Okay, so this is an absolute must. We are locking in one of the centres, Stephen Crichton. I mean, there can be no argument there, right? Stephen Crichton, we're shotting him in there. I mean, the guy's just in career best form, and he's still so young. He's going to be playing Origin and representative football for so many years. So many years. Now I also want to lock in one of the front rowers. Let's continue, since it's so easy to pick these guys, because they pick themselves, these initial players. They pick themselves. Payne in the house. No question. He's one of our props, and he is starting the game. Payne in the house. He's in immense form when he gets the offload game working. I would probably want him more, especially in the opening stanza of the game. The grind is on in State of Origin. I probably want him to put the offloads in the back pocket. He can come on for his second, third stint, however many stints he gets. He can come on, and then he can get his offload game going when the game starts to open up a bit. But what I want to see from him is the aggression early on. And I think he can provide that. He has stepped up before. I pretty much had Payne Haas on Last Chance Saloon in 2024 when it came to Origin duty. He stepped up. He stepped up big time and led the forward pack. So I'm more than happy to see him back in here for 2025. Payne in the house. one of our starting props, and it goes without saying that he will be joined in the front row, I think, by Mitchell Barnett. Barnett looks monstrous in that photo. I'm pretty sure that Mitch Barnett is not that much bigger than Payne Haas. If he's even bigger at all, he's probably not. But anyway, I digress. Mitchell Barnett, the starting prop there with Payne in the Haas, and they will do some damage there to Queensland. They'll bend the line every carry. That's what I want to see from them anyway. Bend the line with every carry, and that'll be a great start for the Blues to give them some go forward. Here's one of the more contentious positions, lock. Okay, so Cameron Murray was obviously playing there last year. Cameron Murray is unavailable. So Isaiah Yeo pretty much walks in, right? He was on the bench last season. State of Origin Game 3, he was in the 15 jersey. Therefore, surely Isaiah Yeo just walks into the starting lineup. Isaiah Yeo is a lock at lock. We're getting there. We've got some good foundations here for the team. The second rowers are an absolute no-brainer. From last year, the starting second row was Liam Martin and Angus Crichton, and they are both in the form to warrant selection once again and be given another chance. Here in Game 1 at Suncorp, scrolling down. Where are you, Liam? There you are, Liam Martin and Angus Crichton. Sir Angus, they've done nothing wrong in season 2025. Arguably, they're the form second rowers of the competition. I know that there's other players going well as well. But remember, these players trying to fight their way into Origin selection, they've got to be so good to unseat the incumbent. That's the way I look at it anyway. Let's bring a little bit of X factor into this team. I think we've got a really solid foundation here. Let's go ahead and bring in some X factor. And I would not normally advocate for picking players out of position. I'm going to do it on this occasion because I do believe that this is his correct position. And I'm obviously talking about Latrell Mitchell. Latrell Mitchell's a big game player, all right? And there's no bigger stage outside of a grand final than State of Origin. So we know that Latrell is more than capable of stepping up. He was picked here in Game 1, I believe it was, Game 1 or 2, in Origin 2024. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he was definitely there, and then he got ruled out for Game 3. And in Game 3, Bradman Best stepped up. Bradman Best is not exactly firing on all cylinders at the moment, and I know I completely understand form is not the complete gauge here because you look at my team that I've picked so far, and there are some players that aren't in their best form. But Bradman Best, a combination of he's not in good form and he probably wasn't meant to be there anyway. If Latrell Mitchell is fit, that is Latrell Mitchell's jersey, and I do believe, in all honesty, Latrell's not a fullback, he's a centre, and that's why we get away with picking Latrell Mitchell there in centre partnership with Stephen Crichton. What are we going to do on the wing? Do New South Wales really want to carry two wingers? Two wingers with such little game time. Now, Zach Lomax has been picked this weekend. If he gets through the game, I dare say he will get the nod. Now, I've got a little bit of concern with Zach Lomax moving forward. He is obviously immaculate under the high ball. He also brings another goal-kicking option to the team, and we know how important goal-kicking is. So I think he's going to get the nod, I really do. But if it were up to me, and this is up to me because it's my video, so I'm actually going to go with my first bolter for State of Origin selection in 2025. And out on the wing, we are going to have a serious look at Jacob Kiraz step up to the big stage. Now, do you want to debut somebody in such a prominent position in front of however many screaming Queenslanders at the Cauldron? Okay, well, honestly, look, baptism by fire. He's either up to it or he's not. I do think Zach Lomax will get the nod if he holds up this weekend. But for me, Jacob Kiraz brings a little bit of X factor. And it reminds me a little bit about when the Fox was at the prime of his powers. And you'd have the Fox on the wing. Could create a try out of absolutely nothing. Let's go ahead and bring him in. Let's take a risk. put Jacob Kiraz in there. I think he's earned the right. Zach Lomax, again, though, as I said, if he gets through this weekend, I think he gets the nod. So look, as much as I want Kiraz there, and if I were picking the team, he would be there. Let's be honest, Zach Lomax will probably get the nod, and just because, if nothing else, he brings that extra goal-kicking option as well, so he covers off a little bit more. If you think realistically, okay, we need as many roles covered as possible here at this level, Zach Lomax does bring that extra dimension. So, look, Kiraz, his time will come. He will surely be involved in camp, and as I've said, I would pick him, but I'm predicting what the Blues team will actually look like here. I've had my say on what I would do. Now let's say what is most likely to happen. And what's most likely to happen is Zach Lomax there on the other wing. So let's have a look at hooker. Look, let's be honest. Reece Robson was the starting hooker last year. He's probably going to get the nod again this year. The Cowboys' form resurgence has happened at the perfect time for him to stake his claim in that jersey. But I'm going to go ahead and throw a couple of smokies in here. I'm bringing them along to camp, but they're probably not playing, let's face it, unless there's injuries. I'm going to go ahead and bring Wade Egan along on Blues camp just as a backup option because he's going really well for the Warriors there. He's had a good couple of seasons now. But also, we talk about Teddy, we talked about form resurgence. I'm bringing this man along, Api Coruscant. Now, I did consider starting Coruscant, and we'll get to the bench players shortly, but I couldn't think of a way to make Api Coruscant work with the substitutes that I've picked, and we'll run through the substitutes momentarily, but I couldn't think of a way to get Api Coruscant into that squad. Now, let's remember Coruscant, when he was playing at the Panthers and they were winning those premierships, Mitch Kenny would get the starting nod. Mitch Kenny would come on and he would take the sting out of the game. Coruscant would come on, and that was when he was at his absolute best. I don't know if New South Wales can afford to start Coruscant off the bench. Name him at 9, start him off the bench. I just don't know. I think they need somebody who's more than capable and proven at holding their own for a full 80 minutes at this level. Reece Robson doesn't even have to play the full 80 minutes, and we'll get to that shortly when we go over the bench, but I think Reece Robson gets the nod. This is it. This is the one that everybody's been waiting for, I suppose. This has been, for me, this is such an easy call to make. But I understand this. This is the one that creates the most arguments. This is the one with the most conjecture. Let's fill out the rest of the spine. And let's start with halfback. Now, halfback becomes a little bit of a talking point because I have said there should be a certain loyalty to the players from last year that got the job done. But let's be honest, that loyalty should not be completely blind. And obviously I'm talking about the debate, Nathan Cleary versus Mitch Moses. Mitch Moses, he had a really, really strong return from injury, but then his follow-ups haven't been all that great. One of the big arguments I've seen against Nathan Cleary is why would you pick Nathan Cleary? He's been there. He's failed in the past. Has he really, though? I mean, Nathan Cleary's been injured a lot around State of Origin time. And look, maybe just the fact that he has been injured a lot around State of Origin time is an X against his name. But in the games that he has played, Nathan Cleary's got a 50% win rate at Origin level. It's not like he's some schlub that can't get the job done. I think recency bias has a tendency to take over in these things, right? Mitch Moses got the job done last season. He stepped up more than admirably. Did a fantastic job there in halves partnership with Jerome Luai, but let's be honest, it was not Mitch Moses' jersey in the first place. Would Nathan Cleary have done the same job? Who knows? I can't say either way, yes or no. He was out injured. We don't know. But Nathan Cleary has won 50% of the Origin games that he's participated in, and he's only played 14. It's not a huge sample size, but 14 for a 50% return is pretty good. when you look at Andrew Johns had a 56.5% return rate, Jonathan Thurston 59.5%, and they played longer careers. Wally Lewis was a standout at 61.3%. So if you want to talk percentages, I mean, yes, I understand that people dislike Nathan Cleary because they're salty at the Panthers dominating the competition over the last 4 years. I understand it. But just because the Panthers have been so good, I mean, don't hate on Nathan. The guy's clearly the best halfback in the game. And if he's fit, he walks into that squad. I'll share a story with you just quickly, just very, very quickly. It reminds me of a situation with the All Blacks in 2011, I want to say it was, when Dan Carter was out injured. Dan Carter fell over during the World Cup. Aaron Cruden then got injured. They sent out an emergency call to Stephen Donald, now the third choice fly half for the All Blacks. Steps up, plays in the Rugby World Cup final. The All Blacks win, defeating France in the final, and they win the World Cup. Now, by people's logic suggesting that Mitch Moses should play because he won last year, are you seriously going to tell me that you would now pick Stephen Donald as the ongoing All Blacks fly half? You're crazy. Of course, Dan Carter walks straight back into that spot. So, Nathan Cleary, for all those reasons, walks straight back into the squad. And don't forget, Mitch Moses, recency biased, just back on that point, Mitch Moses has failed at Origin level before as well. Every bit as much as Nathan Cleary has. He hasn't played as many games, but his win rate's only 40%. Now, there's obviously other factors, many other factors that are involved with a player's win rate when it comes to representative games. But I'm just saying, let's not pretend that Mitch Moses is some god at State of Origin level just because of what he did last year or what he was involved in. So, the common sense decision then, in my mind, is at 5/8, no pure 5/8s have really stood up and screamed, select me, in my opinion. Cody Walker's been out injured and he's been in horrible form anyway. I don't think anybody's really stood up and really cemented a case for selection. So, therefore, the common sense decision for mine is you run with Jerome Luai again. Okay, he's been playing halfback at Clubland with the Tigers, but he started his career as 6. He's had a lot of success in the past at number 6. He's won premierships, he's won Origins. And if anything happens throughout the course of the game, Nathan Cleary has to go off for a HIA, something like that. It'd be good to know that you've got Jerome Luai there to slot into the number 7 jersey and take the reins. Now, I know that the argument would be, well, Dan, Mitch Moses could do that too. Why not put a Cleary-Moses combination? Moses could do exactly the same thing. Mitch Moses is a 7. Always has been a 7, always will be a 7. Mitch Moses is not a 5/8. Just look at what's going on with the Broncos at the moment with Reynolds and Ben Hunt. Now, the Broncos obviously have been saved from that by Ben Hunt getting injured. But you can't have, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, you can't have 2 controlling 7s playing in the halves. It's either Cleary or Moses. You can't have both. So there we go. That's my starting 13. So what about the bench? We jump over to the bench. Obviously, Connor Watson is in the number 14 jersey. Connor Watson did the job last year. He covers a multitude of positions in the back line. He'll come on, he'll give Reece Robson a rest, and he can play hooker. And he can also fill in the halves if needed. If anything happens to Jerome Luai, Connor Watson can come in and play 6. He's more than capable of doing that. He is the perfect number 14 at Origin level. Proven, tested, done the job before, gets the nod again. We need a backup prop, and I'm tempted here to go a Smokey. I'm very tempted to go a Smokey. Terrell May, I'm going to give him a nod. Terrell May will be in my Origin camp. I don't know that there's a place for him, though, because New South Wales are just so stacked at the moment. The Blues have just got a multitude of riches to choose from. They're spoiled for riches. because I do think that Spencer Leniu gets the nod there in the number 15. Spencer Lenu's our prop off the bench. Queenslanders absolutely hate him. And anything that gets under the skin of a Queenslander, in my opinion, he's got to be in the squad. Spencer Leniu. I do want some replacements there and some cover in the second row. So I think we round out the interchange with Holy Moly Olakawatu and Hudson Young. We've pretty much got all bases covered. In the reserves, number 18 can get activated for HIA under foul play. The perfect number 18 is Matt Burton. I've obviously heard talk about Ryan Pappenhausen. And Ryan Pappenhausen is not really an option, in my opinion, because Pappenhausen's a fullback. Pure and simple, Pappenhausen is a fullback. He doesn't offer anything else other than fullback. Why would you have him as your reserve player? You want your reserve player to offer up all kinds of options, and that's exactly what Matt Burton does. So there we go. I mean, I understand it's a pretty safe team. We've basically taken the foundations that were set by Madge last year, and we've just built upon them and made it even stronger. So let's see. I'd love to know your thoughts. Wasted World of Sports. Let me know in the comments below your team. Who would you pick? Who are your smokies to come into camp? Do you have them starting? I mean, let's remember, it's not easy. There's a little bit of a been there, done that mindset. You need to make sure that somebody coming into this squad is going to be capable of stepping up and being able to handle the situation. So, look, I'm pretty happy with that team. I think if that is the team that gets announced, then I'm expecting it will be pretty close to it. Then New South Wales will go a long way to being very competitive there in Game 1. Always tough in Suncorp Stadium. I'm looking forward to it. State of Origin, it's not far away. Thank you so much for joining me for this one. Where's my drink? There it is. Catch you guys on the weekend for some live streaming. Until then, cheers.